Hi, I'm Joey Pruitt, one of the engineers that developed the YakAttack SwingBlade Rudder kit. Today I'm going to walk you through the SS Series installation on this 107, and we're going to follow along with the instructions. The first thing you want to do is gather a few tools and supplies for this installation. For this, you're going to need a drill, an 1/8 inch drill bit, a 3/16 inch drill bit, a lighter, vice grips or needle nose pliers, a Phillips screwdriver, tape, a knife or scissors, a 3/8 inch wrench or socket, a 5/32 hex key, marine silicone, and dry silicone lubricant. The first step in the process will be to install the knob rest and route our lift lower lines. I've gathered all my tools and supplies as well as the parts for the kit in our junk drawer. The 107 doesn't typically come with one, but it's really handy for installations like this or even just out on the water. The first step in the process will be to locate this knob rest just in front of the seat on this flat spot, making sure this knob rest is up, and we're going to go ahead and drill a 1/8 inch hole in one of these. Once we have the first hole drilled, we're going to use one of the provided number 8 screws to hold the knob rest in place, and then drill the second hole. With the knob rest in place, we can then change to a 3/16 inch drill bit and drill out the line hole. Once we're done on this side, we're going to want to repeat this same process on the other side of the boat. Once we have our knob rest installed, we're going to move to the back of the boat and install our line guide. We'll start by placing the line guide in the middle and then drilling an 1/8 inch hole for the screw. And then we're going to go ahead and install the screw. With the line guide in place, we're going to drill a couple 3/16 inch holes for the lift lower lines. While we're at the back of the boat, we're going to go ahead and remove our rear access hatch. Now we're going to route our lift lower lines using the Spectra cable as a fish tape. You're going to want to straighten the Spectra cable out before feeding it through the hole, so you make sure it gets to the back of the boat. All right, straighten the Spectra cable out and pass it through the hole in the front of the boat all the way to the rear. Then we're going to retrieve the line from the back of the boat, and then we're going to tape our lift lower lines to it. A quick tip when doing this is to overlap the cords by about 1 inch. Start taping from the rear and work your way forward. And go about 1 inch onto the Spectra cord so you're able to grab the Spectra cord and the tape. This will make it easier to pull through that tight hole we got in the front of the boat. And then back at the front of the boat, we're just going to pull this cord back through the hole, then grab the tape. It'll be a little tight, and just pull it on through. All right, once you have it through, just kind of pull your tape off and tie a knot so it doesn't fall back through the hole. And then we're going to move to the back of the boat and feed it through the hole that we drilled earlier. Once you have it through, tie a knot so it doesn't fall back through the hole. And once we're done, we're going to repeat this process on the other side of the boat. In this next step, we're going to drill holes for the steering tube and route it through the hole, as well as routing the steering cord through it. We're going to start by drilling a small hole with a 3/16 drill bit here at the end of the foot brace, closest to the seat on this little flat spot. And then we're going to repeat the process on the other side of the boat. With the holes drilled in the front of the boat, we're going to move to the back and drill a couple more holes. Again, with the 3/16 drill bit, we're going to drill holes for the steering tube. This is a 107, so it doesn't have them, but on a 127, you're going to want to make sure that you don't hit the inserts. With the holes drilled, we're going to feed the steering tube into the hull of the boat. We're going to leave a few inches out so it doesn't fall through the hole. It'll be easy for me because I'm fairly long-armed, but you may need to use a coat hanger to do this. But we're going to reach through the front access hatch and grab the steering tube. And then we're going to tape a heavy object to it and toss it to the back of the boat. And then pass it into the hole and slide it to the back, kind of avoiding all your scuppers. And then retrieve it from the rear of the boat. Remove the heavy object from your steering tube and then route it through the holes we drilled in the back of the boat. And then we'll repeat the process for the other side of the boat. Now we're going to use a lighter to mushroom the end of these, and to prevent the tube from collapsing, we're going to stick our 1/8 inch drill bit back into the tube. You're going to want to heat it up just until it starts to smoke a little bit, and kind of give it a little push with your fingers. And then do the same thing for the other tube. With the ends of the tube mushroomed, we're going to want to apply a little bit of silicone to seal them up nice and tight. Reach through the hole and pull them flush with the end, and make sure they don't pull through. Then wipe up any excess with a paper towel. Then we're going to move to the front of the boat, pull the slack out. And then once the line's taut, we're going to grab our vice grips, pull it out about an additional inch or two, then lock our vice grips on it, and then cut the end of the tube. With the tube cut, we're just going to mushroom the end just like we did before, with a lighter and the drill bit to keep it from collapsing. And just like before, we're going to put a little bit of silicone on it, and then we'll release the vice grips, and the tension from pulling an additional inch, we'll pull it back into the hole. And And then again, just wipe up the excess. And we'll repeat the process on the other side of the boat. With the steering tubes installed, we're going to pass the spectra cord through them to the back of the boat. And then just repeat for the opposite side of the boat. With our steering cord run through the tube, we're going to pass it through the foot brace, and then through our steering reel, and then we're going to pass it through the hole in the steering reel. And you may need to use a lighter to kind of burn the end, so it'll pass through the hole. And then just tie an overhand knot. With our knot tied, we're going to attach the steering reel to the foot brace using the provided screws. And then just repeat the process on the opposite side of the boat. After the steering reels are installed, just push your foot pegs all the way forward. And then give them one turn. The next step will be to install the rudder and attach the steering lines and the lift lower lines. To do this, we're going to unthread the 1032 nut on the bottom and remove the bushing. And just lay the rudder right into the hole in the back of the boat. Swing it around, and then we're going to install this bushing with the flat side toward the nut, and then thread the nut on. Then using a 5/32 Allen key and a 3/8 inch wrench, we're going to tighten this down till it's snug. We want this tight so there's no play, but we don't want it too tight that it's hard to turn. With the rudder installed, we're going to choose one of the lines to be our lift line. I chose the left side of the boat. We're going to pass it under the front of the rudder. Then wrap it around the top of the rudder wheel. Then we're going to bring it around and pass it through the hole in the rudder blade. We're going to tie an overhand knot. And then we're going to slide that knot into the slot on the blade and then just pull that tight. Then the other line will be our lower line. We're again going to pass that under the front of the rudder. And this one's going to pass under the wheel of the rudder. We're going to wrap that around, again pass it through the hole, tie an overhand knot, and then pass it through the slot, and then just pull your slack out. With both of your push pegs pushed all the way forward and one wrap on the steering wheel, we're going to tie our knots on the back of the rudder. We're going to pass that through the hole and then just tie a simple slip knot. We're going to pass this over, bring it back over itself, and then wrap it a couple times. And then just cinch it down. Then we're going to grab our scissors, trim the end, and then burn it with a lighter to prevent it from fraying. And then just repeat the process for the other side. The next step will be to attach our lift lower knobs. We're going to start with the lower side of the boat. We're going to pass that through the hole in the knob rest, and then we're going to thread on the knob. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull this until the blade's fully deployed, let it go, then grab it again, pinch it where it exits the knob, pull it out about an inch or two, and then tie a knot. At this time, I'm not going to cut the knot because we might need to adjust this. And I'm not going to cinch it down real hard either. Then we're going to move to the opposite side of the boat and do the same thing over here. With both of the knobs tied on, we're going to test the deployment of the blade. So we'll go ahead and pull the lower and then the lift. What we're looking for here is to make sure the blade fully lifts and deploys. As you can see at rest, our blade's not fully deploying, which means we have too much tension in our lift line. So what we'll come up here and do is go ahead and pull the lift line and then move our knot up the rope, and then we'll give it another test. And as you can see now, the blade fully deploys. Similar, if the blade doesn't fully retract, we've got too much tension in the lower line, and so we just move the knot up the line just a little bit, and then the blade fully deploys. Once we're happy with the operation of the rudder, we're just going to cut the ends of our rope and then burn them with a lighter to prevent them from fraying. The last part to install will be the blade keeper hook, and for this we have a couple of options. You can either simply clip it onto the tank wheel bungee, just like so, and then place it over the blade. The rear of a 127 will be a bit longer than a 107, so you may not be able to stretch your tank wheel bungee far enough back to hook it over the blade. So in that case, we provided a pad eye where you can attach it almost anywhere. For this install, we're going to place the pad eye down here below the hatch cover. We're going to grab our 1/8 inch drill bit, center it up, and then drill our hole. With our hole drilled, we're going to go ahead and install one of the screws. And we're going to make sure the opening in the front of the pad eye is to the rear. Then with our screw installed, we're going to go ahead and drill the second hole. And then for this step, I'm going to leave that second screw out. Go ahead and tie a knot in the end of our bungee. And then I'm going to swing this pad eye up, pass it under the pad eye, and then pull it so the knot falls underneath the pad eye. And then we're going to install the second screw. With the bungee secured under the pad eye, we're going to attach the blade keeper hook to it, swing our blade around, and then go ahead and pass it through the vents in the blade. And then we're going to pull this until it's tight. And then we're going to unhook it. And then just tie a knot just above that. With our knot in place, we're going to trim the end of the bungee and then burn it with a lighter to prevent it from fraying. And with that, our install is complete. The only thing left to do is to reinstall the rear hatch cover and clean up. Thanks for watching. For more Bonafide content, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, or visit us at bonafidekayaks.com.